professor at the St. Boniface College, and I write poetry and all kinds of stuff on the side, because I don't think you can really make a living writing poetry in this day and age, unless you're called Leonard Cohen or something. So I've been writing for a few years now, and I enjoy it, and it's not an easy type of writing. A lot of people don't really relate to it unless it's put to music.
What is your inspiration for, like, what sort of things do you touch on and write?
What maybe is interesting in my case is that I lived in Africa for a couple of years. I married an African, and so some of my poetry is really based on what I've lived in Africa.
Is your poetry then has it been a significant part of reflecting your Francophone history and heritage and culture?
That's a very good question. There's one poem that I wrote that I submitted to a national poetry contest, CBC Radio.
Yes.
And I won first prize. I was the first non-Quebecois to win in the French Poetry Prize, and it was a text that I wrote about my history, about my ancestors, and it's called Homestead. The word homestead has been adopted in French, and that is one of my texts where I am very introspective, and I go back a bit to how our ancestors must have lived in this hard, cold country when they first arrived.
What's the piece that you're going to perform here?
This one actually doesn't have a title, but if I did give it a title, it would probably be called, I don't know what they're called in English, but they're like the troubadours in Africa, the poets who play the kora. These poets were the memory of the people because they didn't write anything down, so they would chant the history, the genealogy of the people. And so I'm describing a scene where I'm standing in the city of Dakar, which is the capital of Senegal, and on all the cityscape you see on the roofs, people hang their laundry. And so you see all these white sheets floating, and to me it looked like ghosts. And these ghosts reminded me of these poets. And traditionally these poets were buried inside of big trees called baobabs. So this is what my poem is describing, how we have this link with life and with death, and how the poets sometimes are messengers who help us understand secrets in life. So basically that's what I'm talking about.